Good afternoon, and thank you for listening again today. As of 2 p.m. today, there have been 3,539 positive cases of COVID-19, including 77 deaths. Over 39,000 Missourians have been tested at this point. Continuing our effort to slow the spread of COVID-19, I am ordering all public and charter schools to remain closed throughout the remainder of this academic year, with the exception of nutrition and child care outlined in our stay-at-home order. This recommendation was made by working together with the Missouri Department of Elementary and Secondary Education and several school superintendents from across the state. Schools should conclude their school year on the date previously set on their academic calendar. It is expected that schools continue to remote learning until that date. On a personal note of the senior class that's out there, my granddaughter is one of that senior class that's out there from a small school. And for you seniors out there, I understand how disappointing this will be to not be able to have that graduation ceremony. But let me assure you this, we will work with DESE, we will work with the superintendents across the state to make sure you get the opportunity to walk down that aisle and receive that diploma at some point in the remainder of this year. We will try to make that happen. I know you've worked hard for 12 years, and we want to make sure you have the opportunity to do that. Today, Commissioner Van Dieven is here to provide some more details. So, Commissioner Van Dieven.
Thank you, Governor Parson. COVID-19 has presented unprecedented challenges for all of us, and the education community is certainly no different. The recommendation made to Governor Parson today was not made lightly. This decision was made to continue protecting the health and safety of our students and school staff members. We know, maybe now more than ever, just how important our public schools are, how critical the services are that they provide their local communities, and how important the work is that our educators do each day for our children. To reiterate what the governor just shared, school buildings will remain closed for the rest of the school year, but school continues. School services should continue through the last day of school in each school district as pre-established by the school calendar approved by the local school board of education. Those continued services include providing much-needed meals to the students who count on them, as well as alternative educational opportunities. We know remote teaching and learning looks different in every district across our state, so we are simply asking our school leaders to continue to be creative, innovative, and persistent in their pursuit to reach students with some kind of academic opportunity. We see some schools mailing or delivering to the front doorsteps packages to students who may not have access to technology or the internet, while other teachers and students are learning to navigate video conferencing software to deliver and receive instruction. We cannot applaud these educators enough, as well as our families at home, for stepping up to the plate to make learning a possibility amid this new normal. This announcement brings with it a number of additional questions. What should districts do about summer school? What will the re-entry to school look like? How will this impact graduating seniors? What can be done to address the broadband internet issues that we experience across parts of our state? Please know that our department is working quickly to address these and many other questions in conjunction with the governor's office, continuing our efforts to help our local school leaders navigate this process. Removing barriers, simplifying any processes that we can, and waiving the necessary state statutes and regulations. I've said this many times over the last several weeks. I've never been more proud to be a Missouri educator. My colleagues at our department and in the 555 districts and charter schools across our state are working tirelessly to serve the students we love so much. And we'll keep at it for the weeks to come. Thank you.
Margie, thank you for what you do. Thank you for everybody over at DESE, and more importantly, thanks for all the teachers, the superintendents, the administrations that have really created out a whole new learning system that we never even knew was available. But challenging times brings out the best in a lot of people. Cannot say enough for the teachers and the schools across this state that have adapted to these circumstances and still are educating our kids for tomorrow. Although it may be hard to see right now, I want Missourians to know that our aggressive efforts to combat COVID-19 are working. We were planning for COVID-19 long before Missouri's first case and have been taking actions ever since. We have issued 2 statewide orders and have continually told Missourians to stay home. I want to thank the many people who have been following these orders because, again, it is working. Metro areas such as Springfield and Columbia have supported that. These mandates are making a difference. Each day we communicate with the medical experts and hospitals across the state, review data, and keep track of bed space and equipment. We do have hospital beds and ventilators available right now, and people are recovering every day. Missouri is a good place, but we must keep up these efforts. With so much of our daily discussion centered around COVID-19, it's easy to lose sight of more important of other activities that keep us all safe. Safe driving is one of those activities. Based on traffic data across the state, we know people are following the stay-at-home order. But as I said Tuesday, we need Missourians to be safe, not just by social distancing, but on the roadways as well. While traffic volume has significantly decreased as a result of COVID-19, speeding has increased. Reckless driving leads to accidents and adds to the current stress of our first responders and our healthcare professionals. That's why now, more than ever, it is critical to drive safely and obey the rules of the road. Today, Director McKenna is here to give us an update from MoDOT on some of the issues that they're facing. Director?
Thank you, Governor Parson. Good afternoon. As the governor noted, we're seeing about a 40% decline in traffic volumes across the state. To break that down just a little, here's what we're seeing in some of the state's larger regions. St. Louis is showing about a 45% decline in traffic. Kansas City is experiencing a 41% decline, and motorists in the Springfield area are traveling about 32% less. One of the state's largest tourist attraction regions, Branson, has seen a 46% decline in traffic, while rural Missouri is recording about a 33% decline. The good news is that people are heeding the governor's stay-at-home Missouri order. Another positive outcome of the lower traffic volumes is that it's speeding up some of our highway construction work and allowing contractors to work on projects during the day as opposed to night, which is safer for everyone involved, all while practicing social distancing on the job sites. The bad news is that some travelers are using the less congested state highways as an excuse to speed, and that puts lives in jeopardy. This is not the time to disregard the rules of the road. In fact, highway safety is more important now than ever. In these trying times of the coronavirus pandemic, the emergency room is the last place you want to find yourself. That's why it's so vitally important to drive safely and obey the rules of the road. I'd like to say we're only noticing a slight creep in speeding violations, but that's not the case. In fact, in a recent test of a section of rural I-70, there were more than twice as many people speeding over 80 miles per hour as opposed to this time last year. And news outlets in Kansas City recently reported that Kansas City police officers had stopped a vehicle going 108 miles per hour in a 65 mile per hour zone and a motorcycle traveling 117 miles per hour where the speed limit was 55. Speeding isn't the only infraction we're observing. Inattention continues to be a huge concern for us. Just last week alone, MoDOT vehicles were struck 3 times by drivers who were not paying attention to the task at hand. Our highway maintenance and construction projects must be done during good weather. Lower traffic volumes enable these essential activities to continue despite COVID-19, so it's extremely important that motorists heed the rules of the road. As with preventing the spread of coronavirus, personal responsibility is a key to safe driving and ensuring that everyone arrives alive. I appeal to all travelers to do their part to make our roadways safer and to not add to the workload of our already overburdened healthcare providers. Pay attention, drive sober, obey the speed limit, buckle up and put your phone down. And don't be fooled into thinking that law enforcement is not watching. Our law enforcement professionals are continuing to enforce the rules of the road, and they will ticket you for traffic violations. Approximately 100 people per day die in crashes on our nation's roadways. Nearly 3 in Missouri. Don't be one of them. Don't add to the stress of a healthcare system that's already taxed dealing with the coronavirus pandemic. Please drive safely and do your part to save lives on Missouri roadways. And while we're at it, we have another ask. Please don't litter. This is also the time of the year when we see a lot of debris on and around our highways. The snow's melted away, the winds have picked up, revealing the ugliness of trash on the roadways. Again, this is a matter of social responsibility. Remember, if you don't throw it out, we don't have to pick it up. Our maintenance forces are already heavily burdened trying to fill potholes, patch roadways, and stripe highways under highly challenging circumstances, so please don't add to their workload. Thank you, Governor, for allowing me to share these important messages today.
Patrick, thank you very much. I think when Director McKenna's up there and he's talking about the percentages of all across the state, the one thing I do know about Missouri is we can do better. And we all need to focus on that, trying to make sure we improve those percentages and more and more people stay at home. And again, it's all up to us. It's up to me and you. It's up to us as individuals to make sure we do our part on that. Safety is always a concern for us. Everyone should be obeying the rules of the road at all times. Our law enforcement officers continue to enforce the laws, crisis or no crisis. And today, Colonel Eric Olson is also here to give us an update from Missouri Highway Patrol. Colonel Olson.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Governor Parson, for the opportunity to be here. Although the current pandemic has affected all of our lives in unprecedented ways, it must not be allowed to affect our focus on traffic safety. Troopers continue to patrol Missouri's roadways and stop drivers who operate vehicles in a dangerous manner. I'd like to emphasize the speed limit remains in effect and is unchanged in our state. While troopers are seeing a decrease in traffic volume, they're seeing vehicles traveling at higher speeds. Just today, on US 63, a trooper stopped a vehicle traveling over 100 miles an hour. Less traffic does not mean higher speeds. We have received complaints of careless driving and road racing, and we will continue to investigate those complaints. Spring also brings an increase in construction zone projects, as mentioned by Director McKenna. Troopers will patrol those construction zones just as we always have, and will be very mindful for the speeds of vehicles passing through there to ensure the safety of those workers. We ask that you pay attention, as inattention continues to be a leading cause of traffic crashes in Missouri. I encourage those who utilize Missouri's roadways to continue to observe all traffic laws, obey the speed limit, and wear your seatbelt. The patrol is practicing social distancing just like everyone else. However, we are always available and willing to assist those who utilize Missouri's roadways. The patrol continues to support our work with violent crime and narcotics task forces around the state, as well as supporting criminal investigation efforts with our crime lab. Even during the COVID-19 pandemic, we take seriously our mission of enforcing laws and providing services to the citizens of Missouri. Thank you.
Colonel, thank you for what you do every day and for the troopers that are out there on the roads and for all of our law enforcement people out there every day still answering those calls to duty. I can't thank them enough for our first responders and everybody that's out there. We are very grateful to see so many Missourians following the order and staying home. Businesses across the state have also stepped up, including grocery stores. It is encouraging to see many stores, big or small, following the guidelines of the order and doing their part to slow the spread of COVID-19. Many stores, including Schnucks, are enforcing capacity limits to maintain as much social distancing as possible and protect both the customers and the employees. Today, Schnucks President and Chief Operating Officer David Peacock is here to share some about the steps Schnucks is taking in its stores across Missouri. David?
Thank you, Governor Parson. We thank local leaders and those of you working in the public sector trying very hard to provide aid and relief to those affected by this virus. We describe our purpose at Schnucks as nourishing people's lives, and this has never been more evident than it is today. Our teammates are working significant hours, mostly in positions of great public exposure, to fulfill this purpose by keeping our shelves stocked and serving our customers' needs in every corner of the community. We have 82 stores in the state of Missouri and 112 stores overall, and the task, while daunting, is one our team accepts with humility and dedication. In putting our customers first, we always prioritize safe shopping and work environment for customers and teammates. We've taken several measures to meet this pandemic head on and in our stores so that both our customers and teammates can feel safe. We are mandating that our teammates wear masks and are providing FDA-approved sterile masks to any teammate who needs one. We are counting each customer who enters and exits our stores and maintaining capacity limitations in each location to as much as social distancing as possible. We changed our HVAC systems, our air conditioning systems, to recirculate air more often. We also are reminding customers through signage, floor decals, and PA announcements every 15 minutes to maintain social distance. And we've dedicated personnel to walk the stores and remind people to maintain 6 feet of distance. We are strongly encouraging customers to assign one shopper per household, and for that shopper to wear a face covering, reserving masks like N95s and surgical masks for frontline personnel. We have partnered with local media to spread this message through PSAs and live mentions so that we can get the word out beyond our stores. We have also invested heavily in maintaining clean stores since the company started, and these efforts have doubled since the pandemic reached our community. We have frequent PA reminders to our checkers and baggers to clean all touch points in their areas. We have devoted teammates to wiping down all touch points throughout the store frequently, and we have used our off hours to clean even more rigorously each day. We are also working to support our teammates to reduce their worries, offering a hotline for coronavirus-related issues, paying bonuses to ease any financial burden caused by the pandemic, offering health care benefits that compare very favorably to most retail plans, and we are providing pay for those unable to work due to a diagnosis or quarantine within their household. We also are providing snacks and regular meals to teammates, often ordering them from nearby local restaurants, having spent over $150,000 with local restaurants in our community. We know our role in the community extends beyond our stores and the food we provide, so we have announced donations totaling over $600,000 to organizations seeking to provide humanitarian efforts in this time of crisis, and we are currently offering customers the opportunity to round up at the register in support of United Way's COVID-19 needs. This is on top of our regular food donations, which total over $13 million per year to area food banks. We thank our customers for their acknowledgement of our teammates and the outpouring of support that they have shown. We are committed to supporting our community through this crisis and want to always encourage our customers to assign one shopper per household, wear a face covering when in store, and keep 6 feet from other shoppers and from teammates. We are confident we will get through this. We thank all customers for their patronage and for their support during this difficult time.
David, thank you very much. Thank you for what you're doing in your business. And thank to all the grocery store owners out there, the resellers, and the employees that work in that. And I want to thank them when we did the order to limit how many people could be in those stores. Most grocery store shoppers are going to be in there somewhere around 30 minutes to do their part. But the reality of the employees got to be in there all day long. And those orders are to make everyone safe. I'm glad the businesses are doing more every day to make the employees safe that have to work in those conditions. But again, it's these grocery stores across the state of Missouri that are open every day, giving everybody the opportunity to have food and the things they need so they can stay at home more than what they have in the past. So I want to thank you, David, for that in the grocery store. Kelly, let's go to questions.
All right, Governor, we'll start with you. Jeff Bernthal from Nexstar. What's your sense of how well the stay-at-home order is being followed?
I think the stay-at-home order is working, and I think people across this state are doing a good job of it. Every day I think we can do a little better, and we're pushing every day. Every day we get in front of this. Every day we talk about stay at home, stay at home. But the reality of it is working. Limited how many people can be in the stores. We're already seeing a positive effect to that and things. And you're seeing, again, just what we heard a while ago, business owners are starting to do their part also to make sure and protect people. So the stay-at-home order is one of the things I think Missouri is doing a very good job compared to a lot of other states. And I think at the end of the day, it's going to prove to be very true for Missourians.
All right, thank you, Governor. This is from Jacqueline Driscoll, St. Louis Public Radio. She has 2 questions. Lawmakers approved a $6.2 billion supplemental budget to help fight COVID-19 throughout Missouri. Most of that is federal money, which has not come in yet and is a bit speculative as how it can be spent. Do you feel there's enough resources in the package to successfully fight the virus?
Yeah, I do. As a matter of fact, when we put that supplemental together here at the governor's office and with some of the budget teams that involved, the one thing we did look at is beyond just this month or the next month. We're looking to 6 months to a year out. So having enough room in that supplemental to accept federal funding and more importantly to get it out to the local levels as soon as possible. I think we've done a good job on that, and I think when that money gets here, we're going to be prepared for that. And then once we get the guidelines, we're going to try to make sure and get it right out where it needs to go.
Okay, Jacqueline, second question. As you've mentioned, your previous budget recommendations for the state's estimated $30 billion budget will need some changes. Do you know when your office is planning to submit new recommendations?
Yeah, we're currently in the process. Right now, this supplemental budget is probably the one most important thing we've got to get ready for, and kind of a little bit under a timeline for that because those rules are going to come in, or those guidelines will probably be in here next week. So we got to be able to figure out how we're going to distribute that. Look, I think the bottom line is to the 2021 budget is that we're simply just going to have to rebuild the budget. That's pretty well it. It's going to take some time to do that. We're in the process of discussions with that every day. We'll be working with the House and the Senate to start that process in the near future. But it's going to take a lot of work and a lot of time to get the 21 budget ready to go.
Senate Majority Leader Rowden says he thinks it's still possible to pass the budget by May 8th deadline. Do you feel that as well?
I think that'll be a pretty tough deadline. Caleb, the legislators will have to do their part to come in. If they can get that done, great. If we can come up with a final product on that, I think that's a pretty aggressive timeline, but we'll see what happens.
Okay, thank you, Governor. This question is from Claire Roth. She has asked, I have a follow-up to yesterday's question. Can you explain what Governor Parson means when he says we make our own models? Who is making them and how? What types of information do they incorporate? And is he regarding any national models?
Yeah, really, we're just making models for the state of Missouri. I think we've all had the experience of some of the national models, and really what we're focused on is the data in Missouri. We have a fusion group together. Our Director Richardson heads that up with a lot of professionals here in the state of Missouri that collect that data every day. And that's really what I want to model a state under, because that's the most accurate, up-to-date information we can get. And I think it's really important to build your model here in your home state, that you really have the facts of what's going on, and we know what's available out there for the everyday Missourian. And I think that's important for us to know that without just doing it out of speculation.
All right, thank you. Governor, this is from Jason Hancock, Kansas City Star. Governor Parson, would you support changing state law allowing vote by mail or expanded early voting to allow voters to cast a ballot without being forced to gather at polling locations on election days during this pandemic?
I would not. Our system's fine. Right now, I believe everybody's going to get the polls to go vote. I believe it is, but I'm not interested in making any drastic changes, nor should we make drastic changes out of fear.
All right, thank you. This is from Caitlin Rosen from the Kansas City Star. Yesterday, both the House and Senate held press conferences to respond to questions about the supplemental budget. These press conferences were set up so that reporters could call in and ask questions and follow-up questions in real time. Would you consider setting up your press conferences in a way that the reporters would be able to do this?
No, I would not. I'm going to continue to do what we've been doing every day since this took until we find changes made or have the time to do that. We're going to continue doing what we're going to do. These press briefings, probably one of the things we probably start out calling them a press briefing, but they're really for the public. They're for the everyday people out there to understand what's going along with the media, but it's really important to me to get out to everyday people, so we're going to continue to do what we're doing.
All right, thank you. This question is from Brian Hosworth, MissouriNet. Governor Parson, our affiliates in northern Missouri's Trenton has received questions about whether Easter Sunday church services can be held with group of 10 or fewer. Can those services happen under your Stay Home Missouri order? And if so, are there social distancing requirements for those who attend?
Yeah, they have to abide by the order. Every week we're talking to the clergy, to the faith-based. Every week we've been talking to them. And I want to thank them for being support of this. I know this is Easter weekend coming for a lot of people, how important weekend it is for all of us. But, you know, I think when it comes to worship, we all have that individual right to do that however we need to do it. These pastors and the people that are involved in the churches across our state and their own faith, whatever that might be, you know, they're being very creative. They know how to do video now. They're doing sermons online, people going to parking lots, being able to stay in their cars, but you have to abide by the order. You don't get an exception for that. But most of them know, and they're doing a fantastic job making sure their congregations still get the gospel as they need it.
All right, thank you. This is from Kurt Erickson, St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Regarding the supplemental budget, did you ask for $47 million for stipends because frontline employees are not showing up to work?
You know, I'm not for sure. We're going over the supplemental budget right now through that and what that process is. So we hope to be able to get through some of those changes that are made in there. One of the things we do know, there is some workers we feel are critical in the state that some of that will get an increase in pay, somewhat for the COVID-19 or hazardous pay, depending on what those circumstances are. So we look at all that stuff all the time to make sure we're protecting our employees, just much like the private sector is. So we'll continue to do those and make those changes.
All right, thank you, Governor. All right, these next questions will be for Dr. Williams. Dr. Williams, this is from John O'Sullivan, KMOV. We've had several outbreaks of coronavirus in nursing homes in our area. Is the state doing anything to help mitigate these cases or making any mandates to nursing homes to change policies?
John, thank you. It's clearly a major point of emphasis for us as we look at our morbidity and mortality. We see that especially in obviously older patients, but also in our nursing homes. So I was in conversations today with our team today at DHSS to look at everything we're doing. Again, we think it's incredibly important to reduce visitors. We think it's incredibly important that we identify those cases early. I just sent 150 tests to Franklin County this afternoon, where they're having. I sent 100 tests to Dimitri in St. Charles County. So what we're trying to do as soon as we identify a patient is to immediately isolate, social distance, and test. And so we think that is a good strategy. But it gets to the bigger question is we're in a part right now in which we just need everybody to social distance because this is the time that people, especially elderly, can catch the disease. And so we need to decrease the denominator. We need to have less people having the disease so that our most vulnerable don't get it. So I can't ask enough. This is a critical time for the next 2 weeks, 10 days, to really flatten that curve and practice social distancing to help those people even in nursing homes.
All right, this question is also from John O'Sullivan, KMOV. How many tests do we have available in our state right now, and particularly in the St. Louis area?
John, thank you. As you know, it's something that's very much part of our strategy. We've done 40,000 tests. We did one lab yesterday. We have about 11 labs doing tests, did 3,000 tests in Missouri. In the St. Louis area, I suspect we're doing probably around 1,000 tests a day. And so that as we talk about modeling and looking at surge capacity, that's very important. We also very much focus on populations. We sent 500 tests yesterday from our state lab to North St. Louis because we're very concerned about that population because we're seeing more morbidity and mortality there. So we're incredibly appreciative of Fred Eccles and Spring in North St. Louis helping us get populations tested to see where we need to refocus our efforts.
All right, Dr. Williams, this is from Jasmine Willis, KRCG 13. In states with high COVID-19 mortality rates, coroners are receiving bodies of individuals that were not testing for COVID-19. They are begging for tests. However, officials have denied the request, stating that the tests are reserved for those still living. The concern is that this will skew the data with COVID-19 cases and deaths. Is this a concern for Missouri now or in the future?
Thank you for the question, and I personally improved the test for that. So thank you for helping get that message out. If a medical examiner or coroner or law enforcement thinks they need to do a test posthumously on someone, then we encourage you to do that, and we will do that in the state lab because we think that information is vital. So thanks for asking the question, just so we can get that information out. That's perfectly reasonable to do. And we will get that information back so that whether it's a nursing home or law enforcement or anyone can make decisions. Thank you.
All right, I've got one more for you, Dr. Williams. This is from Ashley Beard, Learfield, MissouriNet. We've tracked 4 cases in mid-Missouri this week in which COVID positives were assumed by doctors, public and private, and tests were not given because of low supply. How can you track the disease in the state with this happening?
Actually, thanks for the question. It brings up a major point of what we're trying to do. As we've said, other states have moved away from a testing-based strategy and just said it's a presumptive clinical diagnosis. You've got a fever, you've got a cough, we're not going to do a test on you, so we're just going to assume that you have COVID-19. We're not there yet in Missouri. We would like to test those people if they're willing to be tested, whether it's commercially in our 3,000 tests a day or whether it's in our state lab if you meet that criteria. Now, to answer your question, we can track those indirectly through our epidemiological surveillance. We get every day all the respiratory illnesses that are reported throughout Missouri, but we'd really rather do that through testing. So we encourage that. We think we have those tests out there, and at this point, that's really helped us, as the governor said, I think, get us to a better place.
Okay, and Ashley's got a second question. And the existing tests are costing $50 a person. Is there some kind of relief in the budget for people who cannot afford those, plus the jobless folks?
Well, our state tests are free, and then for the commercial labs, those have to be worked out with the provider. We do have a strategy coming up. We're not ready to unveil it yet, in which that would address that, in which we would be doing that free testing. We've got to wait on some other components of that, but I think that will be very helpful to answer that need that you bring up. Thank you for the question.
All right, thank you, Dr. Williams. Director Karsten, I have one question for you. This question comes from Caitlin Schallhorn from Missouri Times. The governor mentioned yesterday the state is doing, quote, all we can do to expedite getting PPE. Can you explain a little more in detail about what exactly Missouri is doing to expedite this process?
Yes, and thank you for the question. As I've said many times at these briefings, our procurement of PPE is a team sport. Whether it's the State Emergency Management Procurement Team or whether it's our warehouse team, we're all working together to get PPE into the hands that need it most and as quick as we can. When we see that there's a delay, maybe at a shipping facility, we are in constant contact with FedEx. We're in constant contact with Customs as well as the Federal Emergency Management Agency. And we've received assistance from the governor's staff as well as our Missouri congressional delegation and our Missouri legislators and senators. And so we are working very quickly to get PPE into Missouri. And I just received notification on my way over here that we have a shipment of 96,000 masks on its way from Memphis, Tennessee to Missouri today through the efforts of all those people that I just named. So thank you for the question.
All right, thank you, Director. All right, Mr. Peacock, I have one question, or 2 questions for you, actually. This also is from Caitlin Schallhorn from Missouri Times. Have any Schnucks employees in Missouri tested positive for the coronavirus?
Yeah, we have 14,000 teammates. We've had 10 test positive, 9 in Missouri.
Okay. And what's the protocol in place for those who contract the virus or believe they have been exposed?
We make sure that first that anyone who is symptomatic does not come to work. If they've been to work recently, we have that area cleaned by a third party, sanitized, and then we contact anyone who's been near that employee, let them know to stay in place, contact their doctor, and get tested right away.
Okay, and the final question for you. UFCW Local 655 have asked for state leaders to require shoppers to wear masks to protect employees at grocery stores and pharmacies in particular. Is this something you agree that should be done?
We are strongly encouraging that our customers wear a face covering. We don't want to deplete the mask supply for first responders and those on the front lines, but I was in 3 stores today, and the vast majority were wearing masks, and I was really proud of our teammates and how they were asking every single customer walking in to wear a mask.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And again, I want to say thank you to all who have been following the stay-at-home order, practicing social distancing, and doing the right thing. These measures are working, and we must remain aggressive in our efforts to slow down the spread of COVID-19. We will overcome this, but we need everyone to continue following the stay-home order. So please continue to make smart choices and be responsible. Reduce public contact as much as possible and maintain 6 feet away. And most importantly, stay home, Missouri. Stay home. Thank you and God bless.